You did not pause here by accident. Your attention slowed because something inside you recognized itself in this moment. Not curiosity, not pressure, not fear, recognition. The kind that does not demand anything from you, but gently asks you to notice. The angels say, this message did not need to chase you. It only needed you to feel safe enough to stop. There is a difference between being pulled and choosing to pause. Being pulled creates resistance. Choosing to pause creates trust. You are not interrupted. You interrupted yourself, quietly, without drama. That alone says something important about where you are right now. This message is not about urgency. Nothing bad happens if you leave. Nothing special happens if you stay. And that is precisely why it works. Your nervous system is not being cornered. It is being respected. The angels say guidance that arrives through respect lasts longer than guidance delivered through pressure. If you are here, it is not because you were targeted. It is because you resonated. Resonance does not mean uniqueness or importance. It means alignment. Two tones meeting without effort. Something in you matched the pace, the softness, the absence of demand in this moment. You may not even know what you recognized. It might not have been a thought. It might have been a slight exhale. A subtle sense of ease. A feeling of, this is not asking too much of me. The angels say these micro-responses are how inner truth signals safety. This message was not sent to everyone, but not because you are special in a hierarchical way. It was sent to a specific state of being. A state where someone has been quietly holding things together without needing to be seen for it. A state where strength looks calm, not loud. You may be someone who has learned to carry responsibility without announcing it. To stabilize situations without making yourself central. To move through days with competence while keeping your inner questions private. The angels say this message recognizes that version of you without praising it or exploiting it. Notice how nothing here is trying to convince you. There is no promise, no instruction, no call to action disguised as destiny. That is intentional. Because your system is no longer responding well to being pushed. It responds to being met. You might have scrolled past many messages that asked for belief, commitment, or reaction. You stopped here because nothing was demanded. This pause is not about faith. It is about relief. Relief is not excitement. It is the absence of tension. And that absence is information. The angels say clarity does not always arrive as certainty. Often it arrives as calm. When something does not require you to brace yourself, defend yourself, or perform understanding, your body notices first. That noticing is not mystical. It is intelligent. You may have almost scrolled past this too. That hesitation was not doubt. It was discernment. Your system checking whether staying present was safe, whether this moment would take something from you. When it realized it would not, you stayed. Staying does not mean committing. It does not mean agreeing. It does not mean believing. It simply means allowing a moment of contact. And contact, when it is gentle, can be restorative. This message is not here to hold you. It is here to show you that you can pause without consequence. That nothing collapses when you stop moving for a second. That you do not lose momentum by being present. You might be used to messages that escalate, that build toward urgency. That suggests missing out if you do not act. This one does not escalate because your life does not need escalation. It needs steadiness. The angels say, you are in a phase where loud direction would be disruptive. Quiet recognition is more appropriate. That is why this message feels more like a mirror than a command. If you feel a subtle settling as you read, that is not coincidence. It is your system recognizing a lack of threat. Safety is not dramatic. It is subtle. And subtle safety allows clarity to emerge on its own time. This message does not define you. It does not label you. It does not assign you a role. It simply acknowledges your presence. Acknowledgement without expectation is rare. That rarity is what made you pause. You do not need to stay here long. You do not need to extract meaning. You do not need to decide what this says about you. The angels say the value of this moment is not in interpretation, but in experience. Experience tells you that you can slow down without falling behind, that you can be still without being stuck, that recognition does not require validation. This is not a beginning. It is not a turning point. It is a brief alignment, a moment where your inner pace and the outer message matched. You can carry that feeling forward without carrying the message. The message is not the point. The recognition is. And that recognition did not come from outside you. It came from within, responding to something that did not ask you to be different. That is why you paused. And that is enough. This part of the message explains why it reached you specifically, without turning that into pressure or exclusivity. Resonance does not select people by importance. It finds states of being that are already aligned. You did not need to be searching for guidance for this to arrive. It met you because something in you is already steady enough to notice it. You may have been carrying more than you talk about. Not in a dramatic way, but in a quiet, consistent way. Showing up, holding balance, keeping things moving without making noise about it. The angels say this message found the part of you that has been doing that without asking to be seen. This is not about being strong all the time. It is about being reliable to yourself, about continuing even when there is no clear feedback, about maintaining composure while your inner world reorganizes. That state has a frequency, and this message matched it. You might notice that you no longer respond well to exaggerated promises or urgent claims. Messages that try to provoke emotion or force belief may leave you tired rather than inspired. The angels say this is a sign of maturity, not cynicism. Your system now filters for calm instead of intensity. That is why this moment felt different. Nothing here tried to persuade you. Nothing asked you to react. Nothing suggested you were missing something. Instead, it met you where you already were. That meeting created a sense of accuracy rather than excitement. This message did not come to validate your achievements or highlight your endurance. It came to normalize your state, to let you know that what you are experiencing does not require fixing. It requires space, and space is something you rarely allow yourself. You may have noticed that you no longer need constant reassurance, but you still appreciate gentle acknowledgement. There is a difference. Reassurance tries to correct fear. Acknowledgement simply sees what is present. This message operates on acknowledgement. The angels say that when someone has been quietly holding themselves together, the most supportive thing is not direction, but permission. Permission to stop evaluating. Permission to stop carrying urgency that no longer fits. Permission to rest inside their own rhythm without apology. This is why the message reached you now. Not because you are uncertain, but because you are transitioning out of needing noise to confirm progress. Silence no longer feels empty. It feels informative. You may have felt a subtle sense of being understood without needing to explain yourself. That feeling is not about the words. It is about the absence of demand. The angels say understanding without expectation is deeply regulating to the nervous system. This message does not elevate you above others, and it does not separate you from them. It simply aligns with the version of you that has learned to move without spectacle. That alignment creates a feeling of being seen, even without being singled out. If you think about it, you did not feel chosen. You felt recognized. Recognition does not inflate identity. It stabilizes it. That stability is what allowed you to stay present without resistance. The angels emphasize that this message did not arrive to tell you who you are. It arrived to let you feel that who you are right now is already coherent, already valid, already allowed. You might be in a phase where you no longer want to be told what to do next. You want to feel that you can trust the pace you are already moving at. This message supports that trust without demanding it. Nothing here is trying to bind you to an idea or a path. Nothing is asking you to commit. That freedom is intentional. because guidance that respects autonomy strengthens it. This part of the message exists to soften one assumption, that if something resonates, it must require action. Sometimes resonance is simply confirmation that you are not disconnected from yourself. You may continue your day exactly as it was. Nothing needs to change externally, but internally, there may be slightly less tension around needing to figure everything out. The angels say this is enough. Recognition does not need to turn into movement. It can remain a quiet reference point, something you return to when things feel too loud. This message found you because you are capable of receiving it without turning it into obligation. That capability matters. And that is why resonance brought you here. Not to hold you, not to define you, but to remind you that your current state already makes sense. This part of the message speaks to the moment you almost moved on. Not because you were uninterested, but because staying present can feel subtly vulnerable. The angels say that hesitation was not doubt. It was your nervous system checking for safety. A quiet question asking, can I remain here without needing to protect myself? When something reaches you at a deeper level, the body slows first. That slowing can feel unfamiliar if you are used to moving quickly through information. Recognition asks you to pause, and pausing means being seen by yourself. That self-contact can feel exposed at first, even when it is gentle. You have spent a long time being composed, managing emotions internally, staying functional even when things were unsettled. Because of that, when something offers calm contact without asking you to perform or explain, your system naturally evaluates it, not to reject it, but to make sure it will not take more than it gives. Almost scrolling away was not avoidance. It was discernment. Surface content is easy to consume and easy to leave. Content that resonates requires a moment of presence. Presence takes energy, and your system is careful about where it invests that energy. The angels say this is healthy. You are no longer drawn to intensity for its own sake. You respond to steadiness, to messages that do not escalate or demand, to spaces where nothing is expected of you. Staying here did not cost you anything. That is why you stayed. There was no tightening in your chest, no sense of obligation, no feeling of being pulled into something. Instead, there may have been a small release, a subtle easing. That is how your body signals alignment. This message does not promise transformation. It does not suggest that staying longer will bring reward. It simply offers a moment where you are not required to do anything. The angels say this kind of moment is restorative, especially for people who are used to holding themselves together. You may notice that nothing dramatic happened while you stayed. No sudden clarity, no emotional surge, just a quieter mind, a steadier breath, a sense of being slightly more present. That is not nothing. That is regulation. Regulation is often overlooked because it does not feel exciting. But regulation is what allows you to move through life without constant friction. The angels say this message works at that level, not to inspire action, but to support balance. You are not meant to have an experience here. You are meant to feel safe enough not to need one. That distinction matters. When the nervous system feels safe, it does not seek stimulation. It rests. This part of the message exists to normalize that response, to let you know that the calm you felt was the signal, not the words, not the idea, the feeling of not needing to brace yourself. You did not miss anything by almost leaving, and you did not gain anything by staying. What happened was simpler. You allowed yourself a brief moment of contact without judgment. The angels say that moments like this accumulate quietly. They do not announce themselves, but they reduce internal noise over time. That reduction is what creates clarity later, without effort. Staying here did not mean committing to a belief. It did not mean agreeing with anything. It simply meant allowing yourself to remain present without pressure. That is a skill, even if it feels ordinary. If you noticed a slight settling while reading, that settling can be carried with you, not as a memory, but as a reference, a reminder of how it feels when nothing is being asked of you. The angels emphasize that alignment often feels like relief, not excitement. Relief is quieter, easier to miss, but more sustainable. You are not required to seek this feeling. It arises naturally when you encounter something that does not challenge your boundaries. That is why this message did not push. This part of the message is not asking you to stay longer. It is reminding you that you can leave without losing anything. That freedom is what made staying possible. Recognition does not trap. It releases. And the fact that you could feel that difference tells the angels that your inner system is working well. You are responding appropriately to what supports you and disengaging from what does not. That is not accidental. It is learned balance. This message does not need to follow you, but the calm it offered can. And that calm is not external. It is something you recognized because it already exists within you. That is what almost made you scroll. And that is what allowed you to stay. This final part does not try to hold you or conclude anything. It simply releases you back into your day with a steadier internal tone. The angels say, this is intentional. You do not need another message to carry. You only need permission to continue without tightening around yourself. Nothing is being asked of you now. No affirmation to repeat. No action to take. No insight to apply. This message does not end with instruction because your system already knows how to move forward when it is not being pressured. What you may carry with you is not a thought, but a sensation, a quieter chest, a slower internal pace, a sense that you do not need to justify where you are or how you are moving. That sensation is enough. It does not require maintenance. You can return to your routine exactly as it was, the same tasks, the same responsibilities, the same pace, or even a faster one. Nothing here insists on slowness. It only reminds you that slowness is available when you need it. The angels say this kind of recognition is not meant to become a focal point. It is meant to dissolve back into your awareness, leaving less tension behind than before. That is how supportive guidance works. It does not linger loudly. You may forget the words of this message, and that is fine. The value was never in remembering it. The value was in experiencing a moment where nothing was demanded of you. That experience can quietly recalibrate how you move through the rest of the day. This message does not mark a beginning or an ending. It marks a brief alignment, a moment where your inner pace matched something outside you, without effort. Those moments do not need to be extended to matter. You are free to leave without losing anything. You are free to stay without gaining anything. That freedom is the point. The angels say when freedom is present, alignment does not need persuasion. If later today you find yourself less reactive, less hurried, or less critical of yourself, that is the residue of this moment. Not because something changed, but because something softened. You do not need to return here to recreate that feeling. It is not tied to this message. It is tied to your capacity to recognize safety when it appears. That capacity is already yours. The angels step back now, not because guidance has ended, but because it has done what it came to do. It did not instruct. It did not warn. It did not promise. It simply met you where you were, and then let go. You are allowed to continue without holding on to meaning, without replaying, without extracting lessons. Presence does not require analysis. As you move on, you may notice a subtle knowing that you can pause when you need to, that you can stay when something feels steady, that you can leave without fear of missing what is meant for you. This message does not follow you. It trusts you to follow yourself, and that trust is quiet, complete, and already sufficient. You can scroll now, or not. Either way, nothing is lost. Recognition has already done its work.